And if you're just joining us today, today's lesson is knowledge of yesterday produces wisdom for tomorrow. Knowledge of yesterday produces wisdom for tomorrow. Zechariah, the 12th chapter. Excuse me. We're looking at verse 7 there. Now, let me say this before we read this verse. Remember, we talked about that this whole awakening is about the so-called black man, so-called African-American man being awakened to who they are. And we've talked about the fact that there were 12 tribes in the nation of Israel. And so it's very important to understand what we fit in as a result of that, as far as the tribe is concerned. And this whole lesson that we've been doing for the last this is on week 8, is about our people. And so I wanted to give this verse as far as a result of knowledge of self, to understand why we're doing what we're doing and how important this is for the so-called black man, for the so-called African-American man to wake up. Verse 7.
The Lord shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
This is what it's about. Because when the tribe of Judah, which is the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man in this country, when the tribes of Judah wake up, because the tribes of Judah are the kings, it's the seed in which Christ came from. That's why they call him the Lion of Judah. So the Most High is raising up Judah first, because when Judah rise up, everybody else will get in line as the kings. They will follow the kings as we were doing the whole entire time. Judah is important for us, the so-called black man, the so-called black woman, the so-called African-American woman. It's important for us to get to the point where we were, to get an understanding of who we are. Because when Judah rises, all the rest of the tribes will fall in line. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to do a detailed lesson on these things in the weeks to come. But I need you to understand, a knowledge of who you are is going to produce wisdom for tomorrow. You're not going to no longer look at your Mexican brother as a Mexican. You understand he's from the tribe of Issachar. That's your brother. You're not going to no longer look at a Haitian as just some more poor Haitian. You're going to understand that he's from the tribe of Levi. That's your brother. You're going to look at the Puerto Ricans as just some Puerto Rican guy. You're going to understand he's from the tribe of Ephraim. That's your brother. That's your sister. You're not going to get caught up in this whole idea of you being a minority. That's why it tells us in Hosea that the seeds of Abraham, the seeds of Israel, will far outweigh the sands of the earth. They call us minorities to get us in this mindset that we just insignificant. But when we all realize who we all are, we all brothers and sisters, it's a wrap. And they know that. This is why knowledge of self, knowledge of yesterday will produce wisdom for tomorrow. Now, let's go to Psalms 147. So, why does it matter? I know that's the question. That's the question that we get all the time, right? Why does it matter that we know that we Israel? Why does it matter that we follow the laws and statutes and commandments? Why does it matter that we go away from the pagan things of Christianity? Why does it matter? Listen, we all in Christ. The Bible says that those in Christ are going to see the Father. Why does it matter? Well, what we're going to be doing from this point on is going to answer those questions of why it matters. You're going to understand that it does matter. That the Most High says you matter. And without an understanding of who you are as a people, as a so-called black man, so-called black woman, so-called African-American man, so-called African-American woman in this country, when you understand that it tells us in Zechariah 12:7 that he's going to save the tents of Judah first, you will understand that you will have an urgency to get in line with the things of the Most High. Psalm 147. Let's look at verse 19 there.
He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation, and as far as his judgment, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
He gave his word to who?
He gave his word to Jacob.
To Europe.
His word to Jacob.
To the Catholic Church.
Unto Jacob.
Unto England.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the Pope.
Unto Jacob.
Unto Jacob. To Jacob. The nation of Israel. And he did what?
And he gave the statutes and judgment unto Israel, and he has not dealt so with any nation. And as far as his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Praise ye the Lord. So let's read. Let's get into him again. Psalms 147, verse 19.
He showed his word unto Jacob.
Unto the Jewish people.
Unto Jacob.
To Edom.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the people of Italy.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the African Americans.
He showed his word unto Jacob.
Unto Jacob. Unto Israel.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation.
With any other nation. Don't believe the hype. You didn't find out by the Most High. You didn't find out by Christ when you got here to this country and some good old slave master opened up the Bible and said, let me show you here that you're the cursed seed of Ham. No. Let me show you here that you're supposed to obey your master. Let me show you here that Serge Bourgeois is Jesus. Let me show you the picture of this Last Supper. No, that's not what happened. That was the deception. The truth of the matter was, you got the truth before you got here. Case in point, the word hallelujah. Yah is another word for the Most High. The children of Israel was singing songs and on the slave plantations, Kumbaya, come by here, Lord. They were saying that on the plantations when they got here in the 1600s and 1700s. Right? When they would address their master, they would say master. People thought that was broken English. No, it was the Hebrew word for oppressor. So how did they come here in the land speaking Hebrew, but they don't know who they are? See, what you do is you kill the strong and the wise. When we talked about that in week 1, you kill the strong and the wise. You bring up the children and the weak. You can tell them that whoever he is. Why do you think it was so important for Kunta Kinte to not know who he was? Why was it so important for his name to be told me? Why was that important? Because if they were just some savage guy, some monkey swinging on the trees, as they try to say, you can call a monkey whoever you want to. He's still a monkey. Why was it so important for Kunta Kinte's name to be changed to Toby? Why was it so important? Why did the slave masters get nervous when they would come out on the field and hear him saying, Kumbaya, Lord, Kumbaya? Why was that? Why did that disturb them? Because they knew these people know who we are. Not only do they know who we are, but they know who their God is. So let me bring in this picture of Serge Bourgeois. Let me bring in this. Let me show you this guy so you'll forget who you are. Remember, Jeremiah 17, you shall forget your heritage and serve enemies in the land that you didn't know. All right, let's go to Romans 3. Because everybody likes to say, well, man, that's the Old Testament. That ain't what Paul said. Now we're about to get into the things that Paul really did say about Israel. It's time to cancel all this misunderstanding, all this stuff that people have been putting out there to damage our brother Paul's name, because what they're doing is they're messing us up. They're not only messing us up and giving us all praise, but then they're giving Paul a bad name by saying Paul didn't do something in which he stood for. And you're about to see right here fully what the Apostle Paul stood for. Romans 3. We're going to get verses 1 through 4, and you're going to hear in that fourth verse. You're going to hear a very familiar verse that a lot of preachers, a lot of pastors have said. And you thought that it meant something else when they said it, but you're going to see actually in context what it means. You can't take one verse and get an understanding when there's a whole line of verses talking about the same thing. All right. Romans 3, verses 1 through 4.
What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision?
I'll say, so Paul is asking the question, what advantage is it to be a Jew? Remember, the people of Judea, there was the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi. They were Judeans, also called Jews. Okay? There is no such thing as the religion of Judaism. There's no such thing. Nobody in Israel was practicing no Judaism. Okay? This is 8th, 9th, this is 12th and 13th century mess introduced by the Khazars, Edomites. Okay? Nobody here was no religion of Judaism. It wasn't a religion. Religion is something that has been made by Satan today. When everybody's talking about religion, I'm going to convert to this religion. When you was born in Israel, in the times of the Bible, you didn't convert into Judaism. He was an Israelite from birth. Okay? You was God's chosen people from birth. Ever since you go back to Abraham, that's what it meant to be a tribe of Israel. Okay? It won't no mess about this whole idea of, you know what? You know, I think this Judaism is kind of cool, man. I'm going to convert into it. No, that's not what it was. So he's asking the question, what advantage has the Jew? What advantage is there for the circumcision? When he says the circumcision, he means the whole nation of Israel, because the whole nation of Israel was circumcised. The male figure was circumcised on the 8th day. Verse 2.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
Okay, so go back and read verse 2 again for him.
Much every way.
Much every way. There's a great advantage. Why?
Chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Okay, so he's saying right here, he is confirming what David said in the Psalms. That with Israel, this is the oracles of God. There is no thing about Christ or the Bible in the world without us, without our ancestors. And I know in today's world it looks like the exact opposite, like we've been put on to something, but that's a lie. And this is why the name of the lesson today is knowledge of yesterday will produce wisdom for tomorrow. See, when you realize that nobody put you onto this, but it's in your blood, it's going to change everything about your approach when it comes to Christ. It's going to change everything about your approach to the Most High. Where you thought, okay, I'm just, bringing in, I'm being engrafted in. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You was not engrafted in, you was born in. Everybody else, the other Gentile nations had to be engrafted in. You were born into this. You have the blood of Abraham in you. They don't. Okay? Verse 3.
For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
So he's saying right now, so if there are people who don't want to believe that we're Israel, if there are people that don't want to believe that we are the chosen people, that the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man is the chosen people of God, if some people don't want to believe that the oracles of God and the things of the Most High started, and the standard and authority is the Israelites and not the Catholic Church and not the Protestant Reformation, then what did he say?
Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
What was his answer?
God forbid.
God forbid.
Yet let the God be true, but every man a liar.
How many times have you heard that verse? People quote it all the time. Let God be true and let every man be a liar. But that's what Paul was talking about when he said that. And it's funny how that is never said when that verse is quoted. The statement that he said, let God be true and let every man be a liar, is that we are the chosen people. That we were the one that was given the law, statutes, and commandments. That we are the people who Most High holds responsible for not only teaching the law, but living the law. And just because other people don't want to believe it, is that going to change the promises of the Most High? And we now all of a sudden are exempt from being the children of Israel because they don't want to believe it? Because the church don't teach it? Because you don't want to accept it? Because these Jewish people say they are? Is that going to change the promises of the Most High? What was his answer to that?
God forbid.
God forbid. Today's lesson is entitled, Knowledge of Yesterday Produces Wisdom for Tomorrow.